Laffcast.com presents.
Welcome to Cannabis Network Radio. I am your host, David Kowalski, along with my co-host here, the notorious and infamous N.A. Poe.
Not the truth. But good to be here, Dave. It's good to be in the same room with you after we did this show for a while, just not even really knowing each other and not seeing each other.
I'm so happy to be here.
He said he was going to hug me. I thought he was just saying that I was overly emotional, but it's good to be in the same room. It's also good to have Scotty from the Daily Chronic joining us.
Scotty's from the Daily Chronic.
Hello,
What's up,
hello.
Scott? How are you?
I am.
You are?
I'm newsworthy.
You're newsworthy? I got you. All right. So.
Well, first and foremost, we want to thank Laffcast.com for taking us on. We are testing this video format out a little bit, so bear with us. You can call in at 1-877-587-6833 at any point. You can chat. You know, it's a different format. We're trying it out. The show's still going to be available on iTunes, so for all you people that listen to your cars or while you're fucking your girlfriend or whenever you listen to the show, you can then listen to it there.
Oy vey. Okay. No. So, yeah. I'm not quite sure why this has to always go along the lines of, fucking girlfriends and, things like that, you know? I mean, I'm just trying to
I was just trying to say that people listen to the show while they do different things.
Why does everything have to be like that, though? I mean,
because
really?
my mind is in the gutter, Dave, and the thing is, I feel like that's where.
Okay, for anyone that listens to my show that knows me, knows a lot of you out there that always has said that my mind is in the gutter. I want you to go ahead and meet someone who has definitely put me way out of the league that you have put me in.
Well, the thing is, Dave hired a comic. Dave hired a potty mouth comic to be his co-host on the show, and then I say fuck or tell a dick joke, and then he gets all upset. But what I like is that now the frustration that you have me in regular life, that you're now bringing that to the show, so the audience knows that you're constantly frustrated with me, and you think that I'm ruining our image.
No, I'm really not frustrated. It's just, it's a learning curve, I guess, is really what it is. Me, I'm business and activism. I don't go out there with, And
I'm comedy and activism, and I think that combination of our two skills is going to make for, one, great internet radio, and secondarily, great direct action. Because, Dave, let's just say, as much as I do fool around, Scott and I do a lot of great work with Smoke Down Prohibition, which kind of started as a joke, and now Philly NORML and the Panic Hour are up to our 11th one. So as much as I do like to mess around, and for the people out there that want to say, hey, that guy says some foul-mouthed shit, we do a really cool protest here in Philadelphia every month, and we break the law in front of everyone. So I'm as serious about my activism as I am about my jokes about genitals. For the record.
Fair enough. So... Well, I mean, I'll tell you is that I'm excited about so many things that we got going on here. I mean, we got Scotty here who's with us, the Daily Chronic. Do you want to kind of just let people know a little bit about the Daily Chronic and how you guys are going to be integrating yourselves into us?
Well, the Daily Chronic, it's dailychronic.net. It's a daily news source affecting the cannabis world. I mean, if it's whether it's about decriminalization or legalization, hemp bills, prison reform, the war on drugs. It's just tries to be the most comprehensive, not necessarily the best, but or the biggest, but the best, and just as comprehensive coverage as possible, with contributing organizations from local NORML chapters or local organization, grassroots organizations, national organizations, myself, several other contributors from around the country. And we're just a bunch of people who follow reform really closely. We're actively working in reform, and we just write about what we know. And what we know is how the laws are changing, and I think we're going to start to see whirlwind of change as the next few years roll around.
And I was a huge fan of the Daily Chronic before I even met Scott. I mean, I would go there for a lot of my marijuana news, and then somehow me and Scott just kind of hooked up, and I hooked both these
It's because
guys.
I wrote a story about you when you got arrested, you asshole.
We got everyone here in Philly now, and I feel like we're really building like an all-star team of activists down here. We're doing a lot of great work. There's a lot of cool people involved, and you should get involved too, because the cannabis closet door is wide open.
Yeah, I mean, now is really the time for people to really take the initiative and action to get on board. I'll even throw it out there: get on board the bus. When I say get on board the bus, we got the Weed Not Greed tour that's going to be coming up in 2014. We're going to be talking a lot more about that. We are right now on a current fundraising campaign to go ahead and get sponsorships, merchandise sponsors, all different types of sponsors, and we hope that the cannabis business world is going to help us out, because this is a win-win situation. And then when you're talking about the Cannabis Network Media Group in a whole, not just the radio here, we are an organization that's geared directly to the demographic that all these cannabis businesses want to cater to. And the fact that now we have full-time media relationship with the Daily Chronic, that's under the Cannabis Network Media flag. We're going to be launching, Daily Chronic in all the major cities in the next couple of months, to the next 30 days or so, Scott? Next 60 days?
I would say as the next quarter rolls around, between now and the first of the year, we're going to see a lot more localized edition, a lot more local, regional. We need activists who are on the ground in those areas, in those communities, who want to help out and write about what they're doing. And
right.
so
Soon enough, all those people out there, we're going to start seeing the Daily Chronic Philadelphia edition, New York edition, Atlanta. We're gonna start getting out there, and we're building the network to be as what we hope to be a major media network. And one thing also, when I'm done giving myself plugs, but I kind of want to explain to people the goal of what we're trying to do is the Cannabis Network Media Group really is a non-bias. We're not taking sides. There's a lot of I guess controversy within the activist movement. Certain organizations don't play well together. Listen, we are activists, and we're not a movement. We're an organization. What we are trying to do is to create as much positive media and as much action media as we can, so we can provide that information to the general public and major media as well. That's the goal. And we don't take sides. We speak about what we hear. We give our opinions about what we hear, and we act on it. And unlike
we're uniters.
One thing we do significantly differently than any other organization, aside from the radio and having our media organization, is we are direct action also. Like, we are boots on the ground action that we're doing. Other organizations talk about it and encourage people to do it. We actually do it. The three of us here, we get into the mix. We're not just people sitting in an office collecting money, telling people what to do. We're out on the street. We're on the radio. We're putting ourselves.
We do envision that, though.
At some point in time, I'm not ready to do that.
So,
yet.
Dave, another thing is you don't have to be a cannabis business person to get involved. Dave actually put together a campaign that's more my speed that we're going to be launching, and it's called "What the Fuck? It's Just a Buck." What we're going to be doing with this is, for just $1, you can support marijuana legalization. And I know you go and you buy a pack of gum, it's $1.69. You buy a Slurpee,
buy a pack of cigarettes for $7.
Right.
I mean,
so you know what? If you just threw us $1 for us to put towards our efforts, and all this money is going to go into direct action. It's going to go into education. It's going to go into buying me weed. It's going to go into most of this stuff.
But but honestly, we don't really have to buy weed, so we're gonna go ahead and just kind of set that one to the side. But in all seriousness, I'm not gonna bullshit with you people. Like, as an activist and what we do, this is our business. This is what we do. Like, not really a business, but this is our life, our livelihood. This is our things we do. So yes, people who say that the money's not only going to go to the cause, is the cause won't happen without the people that work on the cause, and we all have rent, we all have bills, we all have things like that, and it's super important to make sure that we go ahead and get on top of it. We're going to go ahead and jump into our first segment of news here. This segment's actually supported and sponsored by Munchies, which is a quality smoking product. They opened just a new shop side by side here in Philly, down on South Street. And I'll give the address. It's 250 South Street, Philadelphia, PA. It's a great shop. They have their new shop has only made in USA product. All their stuff is extremely high end, and they are a supporter of the media group and the radio. And they jumped on board right away, and we're very happy to have them. Working together with us. And if you're here in Philly, definitely go ahead and check them out for sure. That's Munchies Quality Smoking Products, and they're on Facebook at Munchies South Street under Facebook.
And it's great that they can buy American, because then you don't run the risk of, if you buy a bong, like the money going to finance like Hezbollah or something like that.
Definitely not in this case either. So, that's
well,
for sure.
They have some good quality products. A lot of stuff I recognize in there. They had some oil slick pads in there, some volcanoes. I think it's
very high end
yeah,
stuff.
Really good
stuff,
quality, good quality
Yeah.
stuff. And for all of you newly those of you across the river in New Jersey who can now access some supposed medical marijuana in Egg Harbor, they have plenty of supplies for that.
So Scott, what do you got for us tonight? What would you say is your top marijuana story this week?
Top marijuana story of the week. That would have to be the election. 2013 elections, pretty quiet elections nationwide, but a lot of local initiatives were decided. And yesterday, in 4 U.S. cities, passed highly touted marijuana legalization ordinances. They removed the criminal penalties for possession of marijuana by adults. That was Portland, Maine, first East Coast city to pass such a measure. They legalized up to 2.5 ounces of marijuana for adults 21 and older. And in Michigan, Lansing, the state capital, Jackson, and Ferndale all legalized the possession of up to an ounce. Now, none of the measures that passed authorized cultivation or retail sales. So they're pretty much largely symbolic in nature, but the importance can't really be it can't be overlooked, because it does show that voters are way ahead of their lawmakers right now. And in Portland, Maine, largest city in the state of Maine, Lansing, Michigan, state capital of Michigan, you can't get a better poll. You see all these polls all the time. 58% of Americans in favor of legalization. Well, you know what? In Lansing, 72% voted in favor of legalization. In Portland, Maine, 65% voted in favor of legalization. So it's telling these lawmakers that, it's time for reform, but at the same time, it's also sending false message to some of the cannabis consumers out there where, you might think, hey, I can have weed on me now. Well, the local police can still enforce city, state, county laws. They don't necessarily need to respect these ordinances. Now, a truly free society would, but
you figure that at the same time, the cops are getting their load lightened by not having to deal with that, and that's a great thing, because as long as you still respect the police, if they're going to let that be it, that's when you get this live and let live situation with the police that I think we are working towards in Philadelphia by trying to work with decrim. And the thing is, decrim, with cities actually doing this, it gives me hope in Philadelphia that if we put the pressure in the right places, that we'll be able to decriminalize marijuana, and that's the first step. Look what you guys did in Boston. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and even in Boston, you still had those cops that were like, hey, man, we still don't like this. But then, for years we heard the police saying, hey, we don't write the laws, we just enforce them. Well, in 2008, the voters of Massachusetts went to the ballot and said, you know what, we don't want you arresting people for possession of up to an ounce anymore. We decriminalized it in the state. Now all of a sudden the police were like, oh, we need to change this law. And so it's like you get that old school mentality sometimes where you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Well, it's time to re-legalize cannabis and the prohibition. Let the police do their job policing real crime. No victim, no crime.
I completely agree with that.
I mean, the fact that we're still having a conversation about what should be legal, what should be decriminalized, so on and so forth, irks me personally. Why? Because it's an issue that is a civil liberties issue, and I think that anybody really should be able to advocate their right to consume cannabis when and wherever they want.
My body, my choice.
Again, no victim, no crime. And honestly, when there's much more severe crime going on, I mean, honestly, they're going to go ahead and spend, and we'll get into that news story next because it's on there. We kind of outed the Philadelphia Police Department and with their budgets and stuff. like realistically, like why is it necessary to spend that kind of money on pot smokers? I mean, we have problems. You know, I can't really speak yet about Pennsylvania, but I know in Florida, like we have problems where you go down the street in an area like where I lived, you go a mile down the road, you can just see like meth lab, crack house, pill mill,
Skyler,
like and all these things, and it's just like that's a problem. That's toxic. That'll kill people.
How many times do you read about a CVS or a Walgreens getting robbed at gunpoint, or an armed robbery at a drugstore over just a prescription pill that's legal?
Prescription pills are a problem. Prescription pills are a problem. That's a gateway drug.
But remember, marijuana is a Schedule I controlled substance of no medical value and is highly addictive. You
know what? Don't even get me started. But let's talk about that story there. Why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, what else is going on, Scott?
Yeah.
Well, we have there's a here in Philadelphia, we've been doing, as Poe was mentioning, there's the Smoke Down Prohibition protest. Well, we went so far in October 1st, the first day of the government shutdown, and there was a rumor of a supposed protest that may or may not have happened at the Liberty Bell. And once again, the National Park Service, the Philadelphia Police, were out in forces over the rumor of a protest. So, so one of the local guys here in Philadelphia, Ed Roper, he's been contributing to the Daily Chronic. He uncovered just the massive amounts of overtime, $21,000 by the U.S. Park Service in July, thousands of dollars by the Philadelphia Police Department, just to police a bunch of peaceful potheads who are out there for an hour, giving some speeches, trying to get people to open their eyes about legalization, and lighting up at 420 in a symbolic display of civil disobedience, where I know everyone here at this table has partaken in said civil disobedience at one point in time. However, there's one person here who has been arrested for doing so. And that's just, it just goes to show you just how much,
it's fucking ridiculous. Scott Gacek is ridiculous. And the cops, the Philadelphia police, are just support staff. There's 75 Rangers there. Let the 75 Rangers do their job and let the Philly police ride their bikes somewhere else.
Why do we need 75 Rangers there when there's 50 people at a pot rally?
What I would like to know is that why is there 75 park rangers there when Eric Holder came on and said the government's no longer going to be expendituring unnecessary resources to misdemeanor cannabis crimes? Why are they spending, $100,000 to go ahead and prosecute him?
To silence dissent.
But they're not going to silence anything.
We went into court.
They're not going to silence anything. And
we know that. We know that very well.
They know it too. So just stop.
No, man, they're trying to check it out. Cities like Boston, city like Philly and Boston and New York, if you try to shut people down, it just emboldens them. Like when they did what they did to us, we were like, fuck you, we'll see you next month. And it's those type of attitudes and that type of stance that have made Boston the place that it is, and Massachusetts is going to be, in the next couple years, one of the
2016
a legal state, and that's just going to breeze through, man. And people, you know what, the Boston Red Sox are going to win the fucking World Series because they're going to have so much money, because the owner's going to have 10 different dispensaries, and they're going to just win the World Series. And people are going to be smoking bones in the street.
I mean, just in California, they just came out and said, what, $1 billion industry, in California, just alone for this year? I mean, Rick Husik, when he was on our show a few weeks ago, he said very simply behind this. Cannabis Network Media Group has a multi-billion-dollar industry backing it.
It's the largest cash crop in the world.
We are here, and honestly, I'm going to put this out there. The anti-marijuana campaigns have so much money coming into them, it's ridiculous. Now, what I'm going to say again is, because it's my job, and we need people to support us, like the anti-movement started. The Weed Not Greed Tour is a absolute and complete necessary tool, especially going into 2014 and going into, I guess, the era of what we're going into. It's an absolute necessity for marijuana education and reform for it to happen. It is going to be the largest direct action cannabis campaign ever in the history of legalization. And we need the support of not only the cannabis business industry, we need the support of individuals. We need the support of all the celebrities that claim that they, that they support it and whatever the case is.
Come on, Miley, open up that pocketbook instead of opening up those legs.
Or open up your legs and the pocketbook. And if you really want to go ahead and do it.
We're not going to go there when we have feminist girlfriends of members of the show. So, Chris, we actually have Mike Whiter from Philly NORML. I think he can come on and join us in the news. We all live together, so I don't think it would be that bad. Mr. Whiter, are you with us?
Yo, what's up?
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Thanks for. I know you're a little under the weather. Thanks for coming on the show. Regardless, it's nice to have you.
Yeah, man. Good to be here.
Are you in outer space? All right. So, Mike, you're a very important part of the legalization game, being a veteran, and you're now the co-chair at Philly NORML, Pennsylvania Veterans for Medical Marijuana. What made you get involved with pot activism? What was the turning point that said, "Hey, I have to get off my couch and I have to, help this movement, help this plant get legalized"?
Well, the first smoke down in December, I came to that first sign making meeting and met all you guys. Met you and Chris and Steve.
They came to Florida, and then they had to go to the VA, and they did blood work and found out that he had cannabinoids in his system. He would lose all of his veterans' benefits there, but if he was in Michigan and they did it, it's not an issue. So maybe I just misunderstood how that was being told to me. So
you won't lose veterans' benefits anywhere. The only thing that you'll lose, there's a couple of things you can lose. You can lose if you go to the pain clinic for any kind of chronic pain issues, and you go down there, you have to sign what's called a pain contract that says that if you fail your analysis for any illicit substance, they cut your pain meds right then and there. If you're on morphine, you're addicted to morphine, their morphine that they're giving you, if you pop on a piss test, they take your morphine away and you have to deal with the withdrawals. So that's one of the things they can do. They can't touch your direct financial benefits. They can mess with like your veterans reemployment kind of thing. They have a vocational rehab program where they help veterans go out and find jobs in the community. And if you pop on a piss test, you're not eligible for vocational rehab anymore either. So they don't actually touch your direct financial benefits like your disability compensation, but they'll mess with your medications and they'll mess with other benefits that you're eligible for.
There is one state that's actually trying to pass a workaround right now in Illinois, which just became the 20th medical marijuana state earlier this year. It's only a 4-year pilot program in the state, but they're the sponsor of House Resolution 1, which is the bill that passed. Lou Lang introduced an amendment to another bill that's going through that would give veterans a little bit easier access because it would eliminate the requirement for a doctor to prescribe that medication. If a patient can go to the Board of Health with evidence that they're being treated at the VA, that they're an Illinois resident and a veteran, the Department of Health, which will be administering the medical marijuana program, will be able to then give those patients the medical marijuana. So they wouldn't need a doctor's recommendation or prescription from the doctor. They'd be able to bypass that completely. So that is one thing to look for in Illinois. Hopefully that passes through. It's an amendment to Senate Bill 1955.
Mike, speaking of that stuff, can you tell us a little bit about the progress in Pennsylvania, what the bills, and where we are on that?
The bills are just sitting there right now. Nobody's touching the bills. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what's going on with the bills right now.
Does that have anything to do? Yeah.
They've been stalled in committee since April, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous that we have to put pressure on these groups. What's that lady's name? She's the worst.
Vance.
Pat Vance. She's like a 78-year-old woman. It looks like she was the first lesbian ever. And she is fucking horrendous. And she will not even bring this to committee. A lot of these cities and states are in decent positions to have ballot initiatives because the people can actually speak. Our hands are tied up here in the Northeast, and that's a shame that we have to rely on what politicians we vote in, and the power of the people, doesn't really get much say because 82% of Pennsylvanians want to legalize marijuana, but we can't even get the fucking bill through committee. So, I mean, where's the logic in that? Is government working for the people or what? We should have pitchforks.
The government's definitely not working for the people, man. And that shit ended a long time ago, bro.
Yeah, don't you know it more than anyone, Mike?
Yes, sir.
So, what would you say to Marines that are on the fence? I know that personally, we're good friends. So I know that personally that you have some issues with some of your old Marine buddies who kind of and I know that it affected you because you spent some time with these guys. What would you say to a veteran that's suffering, hey, how to get involved, how to get over the fear of going from something that's so rigid and to using something like marijuana, which is pretty much the antithesis of what they're teaching you in the Marines. If we met 10 years ago, you would walk by me and be like, fucking stoner, and maybe push me into something.
Probably, yeah. Once I got started in this, it's scary as hell. It's still scary for me to do some shit, to get up on stage and talk to people. It scares me to do that, but my voice is loud and people hear my voice. And every time I get done in a speaking engagement, somebody comes up to me and thanks me for it. If I can change, if I can stop 22 veterans from killing themselves every day and bring that number down to 21 veterans, I consider my job done. You know what I mean? Like, if I can make any kind of impact by coming out and telling my story and letting people hear my story, and then they say, hey, holy shit, I'm kind of in the same fucking boat as this guy, then they come out and start speaking. And the more veterans that we get to come out and speak out and come out of the closet and be more vocal about cannabis use, the better, because this helps more than anything else that I've ever been on.
Yeah, well, what's scary to me as well is that because of modern medical technology, you're having a lot more guys come home from war than you did during, say, the Vietnam era of war. And what's that doing really is displacing more people and displacing more families when they get back to the States, because these guys are, you know, some of them are really have serious deformities and different, you know, legs and stuff like that, where they would have died 30 years ago, but now they have to try to assimilate back into society. And I think that, you know, the transformation that you've had personally, you know, is a model for, you know, how cannabis can really help, you know, veterans reassimilate into society. When I first met you, you know, you didn't want to leave your house, like you had said, and you know, now you don't want to leave your house, so I don't get it.
I leave my house, asshole. I leave my house all the time. But anyway, yeah. Listen. I was gonna say something, and now you lost. You lost. I forget what I was gonna say.
I was asking you about guys coming home and reassimilating, kind of, and you know, about veterans. How, you know, they should. It's not wrong to say that marijuana is a good thing.
Why would it be wrong to say marijuana is a good thing? I mean, I understand the social stigma that goes along with marijuana, but it's bullshit, and we know it's bullshit, and everybody that uses marijuana knows that it's bullshit.
It's bullshit.
So why not just come out and say, hey, I smoke pot and I like it, and I'm a happy dude, and I'm a good person.
I smoke pot and I'm a good person.
And it's really nice to hear you say all that stuff, Mike. It means a lot to me personally.
All right, Chloe.
And that about sums up everyone's reaction when they're talking to him.
You know what? I try to be nice once, and no one has anything, and then I get fuck you from all you people. So that's fine.
We're not used to it.
That's fine.
I didn't say fuck you.
You caught
I
us
said
off
thank
guard.
you.
Who made you dinner? Who made you dinner tonight?
What?
Poe made us dinner.
Yes,
It was
I made
delicious.
dinner
It
tonight.
was
So I'm just
delicious.
saying
He
that
cooked
I'm
us
a
dinner.
giver.
That was only he needed a vessel for the roofies.
Yeah, you guys be the last two. Jesus Christ. So, all right, Mike, we're going to have Joke Down Prohibition coming up in November. We have Smoke Down. We have so many things that we're trying to do, and I'm so happy that you're a part of doing them with us. So I know that you're a little under the weather, so I'll let you curl back under the covers, and thanks so much for joining us tonight.
All right, man. Thanks for having me. I'll see you guys later.
All right, thank you.
Peace. Mike Whiter.
All right. That's Philly NORML. I think they do have a website.
PhillyNormal.org.
PhillyNormal.org. Go ahead and check them out if you're in the area. Check out what we have going on. Poe, you were talking about something like Joke Down Prohibition. Why don't you tell us about that a little bit?
Well, it was actually Scott's idea, which many of the great ideas that come out of the Panic Hour and Philly NORML Camp come directly to Scott. From Scott. So it's great that he's been down here for the last 6 months. He's added a lot to the game. So we did Smoke Down Prohibition. It started as a fun thing. It turned into some crazy police state fucking thing. So now we've come up with the idea to do Joke Down Prohibition. Rob Cantrell of the Marijuana Logs, Daily Show, Comedy Central. He's going to come down and headline the gig. We're going to put some great local talent in the gig too, and then I'm gonna host it, which is obviously premium fucking talent.
Yeah,
and then
sorry everyone, you have to suffer through yet another event where Poe is hosting.
Yeah, and then we're gonna do the part I'm excited.
No, maybe I'll host it.
Sure, Dave. Sure, you should host. I think the Cannabis Network Radio should do a podcast there, even if it was just
We're
like
gonna be.
a
We're gonna be
critique,
doing- we're
a
gonna be doing
critique
a
of the
podcast.
comics.
What do you think, Chris? Can we go ahead and set something up where we can get a live broadcast from the Joke Down Prohibition?
It wouldn't be the first time.
It wouldn't be the first time.
Yo, the Chris has done the craziest shit for me in his life. Like he's taped fucking concerts and like Chris.
And this is exactly why, you know, people like Chris is not only with Laffcast but, you know, together with us here. Why? Because we go ahead and get people that are devoted to not only being great at what they do, but also to the cause and supporting the cause. And we respect and admire that and thank you profusely for it. And, you know, we expect great things of great people working together. And as much as we harp on each other, I couldn't ask for a better team. right here. I mean, if you people want to see what the face of true cannabis legalization
you can
looks
actually
like,
look at it now, and it's fucking scary to look at. Look at this.
It's scary to look at, but you know what? Like, when you see us coming down the street, we're a force to be reckoned with. And when we have, a crew like we have here, as well as, talents, from our producer and our producers, I say. I mean, I'll give, my producer in Florida, Ed, too. I mean, he's been there with me.
Shout out to Ed Bone.
Shout out to Ed Bone. And, Justin out there. And, we got guys like Chris here on the ground. Thank you. We couldn't do this without you, and we couldn't get the message out there without you. And, with the support, again, of the cannabis community and the cannabis business community, we're going to continue to make this happen. And, all of us here right now that you're listening to and now watching, we have been boots on the ground. We have been in direct action. We just don't show up and show our faces at events. We're in the thick of it. I mean, from the Boston Freedom Rally, where we all met, we weren't just there to mingle and to do. We were up there, and not only that, but myself and Poe, after we were shut down, we went up and just kept going. We kept speaking. We kept, putting the word out there. We were on top of...
and Scott was once again integral in fucking making sure that whole thing went down, because Scott is like the underground fucking boss of everything.
Boston Tree Party.
So it became the Boston Tree Party. It segued from the Boston Freedom Rally to the Boston Tree Party. We were there on top of, Mount Malta, formerly Mount Mary Jane, right there in Boston Common. And we were able, myself, Poe, we were able to stand there in front of thousands of people who stuck with us in an act of true, even though it was civil disobedience.
Little backstory. What happened was, for the first time ever in 24 years, the Boston Freedom Rally was supposed to be 2 days. And at the last minute, the city of Boston denied the permit for the second day.
And then literally pulled the plug at 3 o'clock on a second day.
They got a court injunction, so they could only have it until 3 o'clock, 3 p.m. Everything had to shut down, no amplified sound. So we took over Mount Mary Jane, which is now Mount Michael Malta.
And so they went ahead and looked at us, and they're like, all right, you guys are direct action folks, and you guys have no problem doing so. We're going to carry this on. And we did that. And you know what? I will tell you something. I was humbled and privileged both to be up there on Mount Malta, being able to, in really where, we had the Boston Tea Party, people, stood up and fought for their rights, to speak to all these people about, having our freedoms and having our rights, and watching those thousands of people smoking. And on top of that, the most awesome part about it is those thousands of people, you could have heard a pin drop when we were speaking, when anyone was speaking. People were paying attention to what you had to say. And the fact that I was stuck in between, Danny Danko spoke right before me, then it was me, and then right after me, I introduced Rick Cusick coming into 420. You just don't, the symbolic, or the symbolism of that.
The symbology.
The symbology. Okay, there you go. The symbology of that right there speaks for itself of where we stand. I mean, because, again, we've had Danny Danko, we've had, Rick Cusick on. High Times is working together with us. We're working together with them. For anyone who said, oh, these guys are just a bunch of whatever, think about it. Just look at where we're at and look at what we've done so far and the strides that we've made. So when I sit here saying that you're looking at the crew and listening to the crew right now that's going to go ahead and change the face of cannabis legalization.
You'd think we'd be lying.
You'd think we'd be lying, but we really aren't. When you see that 45-foot bus pulling into your town and the motley crew that we are getting off to impart knowledge and education, you can rest assured the fact that we're not going to leave a city where our mark is not going to be made, and people that we're adamantly against are going to be new voters in the upcoming election. And that's why it's so important for people to go ahead and get on support the Weed Not Greed Tour. And you can find out more about the Weed Not Greed Tour at weednotgreed.com. And you can find more about the Cannabis Network Media Group in a whole at cannetmedia.com. And of course, everyone I think who's listening to the show already knows about Cannabis Network Radio. And all that, we're all under the Cannabis Network Media Group. And, I'm so thankful and truly a heartfelt thanks to everybody that's sitting in this room and in the studio with me right now, because,
and listening.
And listening, our supporters as well, because we are not only number 6 on iTunes currently in terms of podcasts, and we're above all the other, podcasters out there. It's because of our audience. We have thousands of downloads a week off of iTunes, and I know this whole new show transition time is kind of altered, and I hope that our core audience sticks with us. I know that we're definitely not having the same numbers as we typically do, but I thank everyone for staying up late with us here on the East Coast and guys on the West Coast. Thank you, and I hope that you can perpetuate the message. Let us know that not only that we're going to be broadcasting live video now. We're going to be doing, I'm going to be sticking to doing a radio show on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. as just one-on-one interviews with people of weed celebrity, I guess. Honestly, over the next, I'm going to say 30 days or so, with all the integration of everything we have going on between, we're starting to do digital media, we're starting to do actual video production, we have the radio, we brought in the Daily Chronic as being our news media anchor, and, we're growing by leaps and bounds, and it's not only because of us, it's because of all the people out there that are listening and the supporters like you and people within the cannabis industry and professionals such as Chris and other people we work with that support us as well. And very much, truly, all you guys, thank you very much for everything you do. I truly appreciate it all.
Just to clear my professional name, I just wanted to say sorry about the audio glitch in the video earlier during Whiter's interview. If people go back and listen to the iTunes version, they'll be able to hear the whole thing.
It happens on occasion, so production, it's one of those things. So anything else going on in the news?
Oh, we still got a lot of news going on.
Let's hit it. I
mean, if you guys want to get the full stories on all the news, just check out thedailychronic.net. We got a lot of good information up there. But another big news out of the election was in Colorado, Proposition AA. When last year in November 2012, when Colorado voters enacted Amendment 64, it allowed the state legislature to tax retail marijuana sales to adults. Of course, under the Colorado Constitution, those taxes must be approved by voters, and the voters approved a 25% tax on recreational marijuana. And in the city of Denver, they tacked on an additional, I think, 4%, and a couple other localities as well. So in Colorado, guys, guess what? Your pot just got a little bit more expensive, but will it still taste greener because it's legal?
Well, Scott, I'm curious. Real quick, I just want to say one thing: is 25%? Is that going into the schools? Like that's how they're choosing to use the money there?
Well, at the same time, they defeated a measure that would have raised property taxes in order to fund public education. So they're actually using marijuana to fund the school system, which is great. I mean, I would gladly pay a cannabis tax as opposed to lining the pockets of the drug cartels or some guerrilla grower who's destroying a national forest by growing some weed out there for me to smoke. I would rather this money go into education and other public, we need to find alternative methods of taxation, a revenue source. But
you want a prediction? I think that I don't really know how they're manufacturing the weed in Colorado yet, but
hydroponically in 40,000 square foot.
Do you anticipate that now that they have control, like they're going to add chemicals possibly to it down the road?
No, absolutely not.
Or what I'm really trying to get at is if they do, I think that people have the right to restrict paying that tax if there's chemicals in your marijuana.
Well, luckily in Colorado, if you're 21 or older, you can legally grow, I think, 6 plants, 3 mature, three seedlings. So you can completely control what if you have a green thumb, you want to grow some pot, you can totally do that, completely legal, no additional taxes, no licensing required as long as you're 21 or older.
There's two things I have to say to that. Firstly, in regards to taxes, I'm not going to get into my personal opinion of it, but honestly, I'll say this.
I'll get into mine.
Right, but I'm just going to clarify something for everyone who has their panties in a bind about it or whatever the case is. I personally would rather pay a 25% tax on something than worry about my freedoms being violated or going to jail or have my kids taken away or something along those lines. 25% tax is what it is. It's what it is. A luxury tax. They want to consider cannabis to be a luxury. So be it. I'd rather have that step. I'd rather have that step taken for now.
I have a question for you, Dave. Honestly, is the prices for marijuana in Colorado around $200 an ounce? Yeah.
Less than that.
Okay, so 25% taxing them is still literally half the price of what we're paying on the East Coast, right?
Cheaper than what we're paying
now. Well, then
now.
Fucking A, tax at 25%.
The money is going into good.
But as I was saying, it's for if it truly goes to education and the taxes truly go in this case to where they're going, then yes, it's a good thing. But the most important thing I want everyone to think about right now is that 2-3 years ago, you could go to jail, and now you're just paying a 25% tax on it. So let's take baby steps, and I think this is a very good baby step for now. And they did pledge publicly it will go to education. And
that was in the original amendment.
And in some states, that's really. I mean, how many schools did they close here in Philadelphia?
23,
whatever this year because they couldn't afford it.
No, they needed the money to build a prison.
To incarcerate cannabis.
$400 million would have
smokers
saved
and
public
stuff like that.
schools. Instead, they're building a $400 million prison.
So we're just going to put that one to bed for a moment. Now, I actually want to go over to comment on what Chris said in regard to adding chemicals and stuff to cannabis. One thing which I think in the cannabis industry in a whole is that is still controlled by geneticists and growers, so on and so forth. And I've been on numerous panels and in discussions with lots of the top, there's even a picture of me with literally the creme de la creme of the best growers in the world that I sat down on a panel with at the Cannabis Cup in Seattle. We had a whole discussion about it. And the truth be told is we are the people that control this industry. It's not going to be the geeks in a lab. It's not going to be whatever. It's the people that have the geneticists, the people that have produced these strains. And we are purists. We want to create this. This is something that we create. And for people to go, the only people that are going to start fucking around with the weed and putting chemicals in it is pharmaceutical companies or big corporations. And we, as a weed community, are not going to let that happen. And that's the general consensus of the top growers and geneticists in the industry. And that's one thing that will never change, no matter how big it is no one's going to take the top growers and the top geneticists and say to us, we're going to do it this way, because it's not going to happen.
I hope that's the case, but I mean, through time, let's say 100 years from now,
anything gets bastardized. I can't speak about 100 years from now.
Sure, but
and I hope not. I hope that doesn't be the case. I know that where we sit right now in a whole, and at least for the next decade plus, the actual production of true cannabis that we're going to see emerging into legal markets, and if it's done in a proper manner, and it really is the top geneticists and growers, we are not going to let that happen. We're not going to let it be taken over. And even I've had discussions with people out there who say they want to become the Starbucks of weed, and I explained to them, I said, that's fine. It is fine to go ahead and do things like that. However, when you open up your businesses in different states and different communities, keep the business within the communities, meaning use local growers, use local people to work within your shops, use local harvests, keep the industry here. You still can have a national chain, a national brand, but just make sure that you keep your local stores local. You're not going to get better deals elsewhere. You're not going to get, whatever. Keep the quality consistent. Stay with the top genetics that are in the industry. And for people that are out there that haven't experienced the world of legal cannabis, not all pot is created equal. And we can get into lots of differentiations between that, so on and so forth. And, I'm just going to say one last thing about this, and we can have more shows about, cannabis. But one of the biggest... We're going to
do more cannabis shows?
No, I mean, about growing.
That's amazing. I want to do... I'm in.
Me too.
Yeah, me too. But
about
growing and technical stuff. But I'll say one thing out there to a lot of the basement growers, closet growers, so on and so forth. I know that in a lot of cases, you guys want to make the money and do it. And I understand. I'm not dogging you for it. Do what you got to do. But if you truly want to be good at what you're doing, the two things that people do not do when they're growing is they do not go ahead and flush their plants properly, and they do not cure their bud long enough. For the little bit of extra time it will take for you to go ahead and flush your plants properly and to go ahead and cure them a little longer, you will have a 10 times better a product at the end result than you would if you rush it and you clip it. And then one other thing, because I've heard this 4 times today that I need to go ahead and put in air, icky sticky is not a good thing. The wetter and damper your weed is, that means it hasn't been cured properly, hasn't been cured long enough. Actually, icky sticky is less potent than properly cured bud. So I just had to get that off my chest because I've been through that 4 times today, and I just had to clarify with all you out there.
Yeah.
So whatever.
David, let it out. Let it out.
I'm letting it out.
You know what? We started, now that we're in the studio, it's easier to do this kind of thing. So we were going to start a segment on the show to do consistently called Pot Shots, because as much as there's things that we can celebrate about what's happening in the marijuana industry, there's still a lot of shitty things that happen every single day.
Oh, yes.
So I know, Scott, there's a couple stories over there. Chris, this is ready, aim, fire of weed. But anyway... So there's some horrible things that actually happened this week. There was a Facebook altercation in South Carolina. There was that And there was the story about the kid that died in custody for a marijuana.
Well, there was a lawsuit that death happened about a year ago. That was a lawsuit that was just filed on behalf of the kid. Why do you always got to talk about like grim shit? I was going to go in with something happy. I got Washington patients. A city in Washington had to return 6 pounds of medical marijuana to patients.
Amen.
That's a close.
Amen.
See, I got to teach you guys everything. That's a closer. Whatever.
You know, you want me to do the news, but I just real quick on the.
He's getting ready to take aim. I'm just gonna say this. You know, since we're out there, I'm gonna say it one more time. Calvina Faye, give her a shot. Come on. Absolutely. That's all I gotta say.
Scott Gacek and Dave Kowalski, you gotta get two for him.
Hey.
All right. So, okay, go ahead. Tell a happy story then. I just think that as much as cannabis is celebrated and loved, that there's also a war going on still,
Good.
and there's victories on certain battlefields. But we have to honor the people that are fighting on those lines because we're part of them.
Every day, another patient somewhere in the United States dies because they don't have safe access to medicine. Every day, someone is getting locked up and arrested. I mean, I could fill pages upon pages upon pages with every single bust that's happened, but then I wouldn't have any time left in my day. And that's why we have to end the war on drugs. That's why we need to end the war on weed. That's why the DOJ needs to nut up and shut up. You know, if they're going to let the states legalize cannabis, they need to let the states legalize cannabis. They need to stay out of the
that's what Eric
industries.
Holder said. Eric Holder said, "Look, we're going to leave it in, to the state's decision, and the government's not going to get involved." Listen, I know they say a lot of things, but I'm hoping, and I'm going to hold it to them. And when I get up and I advocate, just like when I said when I was speaking at Smoke Down, how dare you go ahead and try to take away my right, to go ahead and smoke a plant.
But it's the U.S. attorneys. You have Melinda Haig out in California. You got what's his name, Dick whatever here in Pennsylvania. These guys are making the cannabis crusade their personal fights. They're trying to build their political careers.
They can go ahead, but you understand that you are 1 million people to one. And it doesn't matter because you know what? You can arrest 5 of us, arrest 10 of us. There's going to be 100 more right behind us.
But you know what the difference is? They have an unlimited budget. Look what happened on October 1st in Philadelphia.
That's right. We don't have an unlimited budget. Why? Because the anti-movement gets tons of support. We have to eke by, eating fucking ramen noodles and, God knows what Poe feeds us, whatever out of the can, because we can't go ahead and get, some serious fundraising here. Why? Because people choose to give their big money to organizations that don't need the money. Why? So they can supposedly lobby and do things that they're going to do that they've been around forever lobbying and not getting stuff done. Well, I'll tell you this much. The reason why I do what I do and started this whole organization is because the only way stuff gets done is if you're there doing it. When you're making a statement, making a point, and there in person, standing up for what you believe in. It's great and it's fine to lobby, and I'm glad they're doing what they're doing. I'm not saying that sarcastic, even though I know it sounds like they have their job to do. Great, go do it. They don't need $10 million to do it, okay? They don't need that. They whatever. What we need is the same type of support that the anti-movement gets to be pumped into the legalization movement. Because I hear so many people all the time saying, oh, we want to change, we want to change, we want it to change. Yes. And as much people say, oh, you guys are just trying to get money, in case anyone hasn't dawned on anybody, we pay for things with money. That's how we function. That's how we do things. It doesn't.
Are people
just
saying that? Are people saying that?
Yes.
Are people calling into question our need for cash? Look.
Yes. They think that we're abusing it, or we want to get weed. I want to clarify something also. All you people there say we're just using it to get weed. Let me explain something to you. I haven't paid for weed, and I can't even tell you how long.
Clinton was president.
so in order if you think that I'm going to spend money on buying weed, that's a joke. Okay, so first and foremost, the money's not going to go to buying weed.
It's going to go to a purple bus with 24-inch rims and a sound system, and like those beds that are shaped like hearts, and they're all going to have.
Can we squash the color purple?
And then go Ravens, and then I'll tell you something. When Poe wakes up from his dream, he'll realize he's on a 45-foot tour bus that has pro-cannabis messaging on it, filled with a bunch of activists and lawyers and doctors and people that are well educated that can go out and perpetuate proper cannabis education. Why? Because this is a people movement. This is a social movement. This is a social change. Social change is what's going to promote marijuana legalization. A lobbyist isn't going to make that happen. A congressman is not going to make that happen on its own. The only
Unless
reason
you kidnap him and put him in your basement and blow weed smoke in his face, which we may or may not endorse.
No, we don't endorse that. But if it so happens, we had nothing to do with it directly.
At least it's not the mayor of Toronto.
True. All I can say is this. I don't really feel like, sitting here having to justify myself, because I've been doing this, for over 4 years now. I have put myself in harm's way. I have given up loved ones. I have given up people in my life because they don't agree with what I do. They think I put myself at risk, so on and so forth. I have given up a lot to be where I'm at, and I'm not doing it just to make a name for myself. I'm doing it because I believe in what I'm doing. And after, 4 years and literally close to $250,000 of investment into advocating and legalizing, we are going to get on the road. We're going to go ahead and educate people. And all of us sitting here with all of your help, are gonna get this done. The time is now to act.
And we're not gonna shave until we are successful in all 50 states.
And I want to say for the record that I am here for self-promotion, and that you can buy this Panic Hour t-shirt that I'm wearing right now for $15 at the Panic Hour Facebook page or website.
Okay, well, he's there for self-promotion. I mean, the lovely Cannabis Network Radio shirts we don't have them.
We're gonna
for
look
sale.
like three fucking
but,
amigos.
But if you want one, send us an email. I'm sure we'll figure out how to get one to you, so on and so forth. But the important thing really is, the messaging is that I don't want people to think that we are trying to do some sort of scam or so on and so forth. We're going to be transparent with our expenditures. The reality is everything costs money, and we needed to survive, to take care of our responsibilities in life, as well as be able to get on the road to help perpetuate the word for change and a good cause. I'm getting a memo here. 2 minutes. Well, why do you have 2 minutes till midnight? I'm
going to turn into a pumpkin.
You're putting me on a deadline?
No, I'm not putting you on a deadline, Dave. I could listen to you talk all night. You should create like some kind of audio book and that's of like all motivational speeches.
They can fall asleep on. They can fall asleep with, to go to bed with, and listen to how to become a proper pot activist. Whatever. Well, so what else we got, guys?
Don't be a pot activist in South Carolina and post comments about it on your Facebook, because you'll get a threat from chief of police who said that they might threaten to arrest somebody for making marijuana legalizations about. On Facebook posts.
Well, I think maybe someone should educate that chief of police on First Amendment rights of free speech.
I think a large percentage of police officers in this country might need a re-education on that.
A lot of the younger ones don't have, I meet a lot of the cops that are in their 50s or 60s, and they have a respect for the law. And nowadays you can be a cop if you have a neck tattoo in Philadelphia. So I think that a lot of the police
and weigh like 700 pounds.
Yeah. So I think a lot of the younger police just are interested in the power and the authority, and they're not interested in our civil rights, and they're kind of just like they're the type of cops that you can just make come after us.
Forget civil rights. How about what our Constitution says?
Yeah, I want equal rights and justice for all, and that's what the Panic Hour and Cannabis Network Media Group way. We are fighting for everyone. We have to unite as much as possible. If you're trying to get involved in your area, send us a message. Someone will get back to you. We'll teach you how. We'll teach you guerrilla tactics. We'll have it with you'll be running into places with weed suicide bomber vests on.
And there's one thing also, which you will find, and I'm saying this as the CEO and the head, whatever you called me that one time,
Capu de tutti capi,
right, of this organization, is that we, unlike other organizations, you call us and tell us you need us and whatever, we'll be there. We got your back.
Just don't call Poe.
And if we're not there, someone from our organization will be there, and we'll be there every step of the way. And
don't call Scott because his phone's not on. If you just put the bat signal in the sky for the marijuana, Cannabis Network Media, on the top of the bus, we should put a weed leaf light that goes into the sky. Flash it in the sky, and then here we come.
Or should that just be our summon dick? Summon the park rangers, the stormtroopers, just flash the pot leaf in the sky. Stormtroopers will show up.
You know what? Whatever the way it is, whether it be the pot signal, whether it be an email, a Facebook message, a phone call,
a selfie,
a selfie,
smoke signals always work.
Smoke signals.
Smoke signals. Especially if it's from a nice big 2-pound blunt, that will summons us instantly.
Absolutely.
Not Poe because he can't smoke, but
absolutely.
Me and Dave, we got your back.
I mean, but that's one thing which we're going to do different is that we're not just on social media. We if you truly, and I mean this seriously, all joking aside, is that reach out to us if you need us and we'll be there and we'll support you along the way. I know a lot of people reach out to us and ask us for money, because they have legal issues, so on and so forth. And I'll tell you this, we don't have a lot of money to give. Everything that we do really goes into our efforts, so on and so forth. However, we'll be there. We'll show up at a trial. We'll bring a bunch of people there to advocate. We'll go ahead and, talk to a judge. We'll go ahead and be out there, so on and so forth. I know that, it's costly to fight this, but the reason why we do what we do and why we advocate and why we put ourselves in the front line is so in the future this doesn't have to happen. So you don't have to look for a $10,000 lawyer to go ahead and represent you for something that even shouldn't be a crime to begin with. So, I apologize for the people that we can't help financially, but if you take a step back and look at it, we're helping everyone and helping the cause by changing the law and taking a stance in what we believe in, and that's why we need everyone's help, because we are the people that have proven, all of us sitting here have proven that we are willing to go ahead and be arrested and put ourselves in the line and take civil disobedience and not just be on Facebook and not just talk on the air about what we're gonna do. We have done it. We've been there. We've been on the ground.
I've killed people.
We have credibility. Poe has. I haven't.
Yo,
ever. I haven't. Never.
Yo, and a couple
Why is the NSA creeping up outside?
I like a couple good things about the show. Dave did not say whatever the case is, and I'm just going to give him a quick round of fucking not saying whatever the case is. Me and Chris had something planned. If you said whatever the case is, you did not fall for my bait. Secondarily, I only made one dick joke in this whole show. I made no hooker jokes. So I just wanted to clear that for the record. And Scott, it's been amazing to add an extra person to this show as well. So that's just me pouring my fucking heart out on Cannabis Network Radio.
As I said,
we're all heart.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you to our audience. Thank you to our listeners. Thank you for support. Thank you for our people that support us all around. If you have a moment, go to iTunes, check us out, rate us, review us, give us some good feedback. I think actually also now on Facebook, there's like ratings that we get. All the ratings we get help us in general across the board.
And it makes us feel good. Everyone likes to go and be like, you know what, we're rated well. And a real quick no thank you to whoever stole my Rasta hat while I went into federal detention fucking pretrial service today and went in to do my piss. I went in to do my piss and I come out and someone stole my King Selassie Rasta hat. So you know what? I'm going to go ahead and wish good karma on this person, and I'm going to say that I hope that you put that hat on your head and that your life changes and that you something good happens to you. I hope that one of the pretrial detention services guys got their hands on it, walked out to his car, put it on, and then threw on some Bob Marley and lit up a joint.
I'll tell you something. I used to be a person that was vindictive and had so on and so forth, and I've learned to channel a lot of that into, what?
Your beard.
It has nothing to do with the beard. It has to do with the fact is that, obviously whatever person's doing that, that's going to, try to upset me or hurt me, they're doing it for the reason they feel they need to. I'm not going to stoop down to their level and turn around to do it the other way. And, I'm a very strong believer in karma. And, I'm going to go ahead and, conclude the show by saying this. And it's not just to me, but it's to all the people. And I need everyone to think about this, okay? May karma bring upon you everything that you've brought upon me or brought upon others, both good and bad. So think about your actions. Think about what you do, because it will come back around. And on that note, I hope everyone stays safe. I hope everyone has a good weekend ahead. We're looking forward to doing great things here, both Cannabis Network Radio and in the media group at whole. Check us out on Facebook. Check us out online. Find us. Thank you again for everyone's support. I'd like to thank Poe. I'd like to thank Scott, Chris, everyone here at the studio, also our Florida studio, Ed and Justin. Thank you so much for everything you do. Hope everyone has a good night. Be safe. We'll be back on Monday with another edition of Cannabis Network Radio.
Bye.